Happy morning, children. Let us to learn a Japanese story called Taros Reward today. A young woodcutter named Taro lived with his mother and father on a lonely hillside. All day long he chopped wood in the forest. Though he worked very hard, he earned very little money. This made him sad, for he was a thoughtful son and wanted to give his old parents everything they needed. Okay, let us to go to the explanation. A young woodcutter called Taro. He lived with his mother and father lonely on a hillside. All the day he used to cut wood in the forest and he used to sell it. Actually, he was a hard worker, but though he worked very hard, he earned very little money. As he used to get very little money, it made him very sad because he wanted to give all the comforts to his parent that they needed. One evening, when Taro and his parent were sitting in a corner of their hut, a strong wind began to blow. It whistled through the cracks of the hut and everyone felt very cold. Suddenly, Taro's father said, "I wish I had a cup of sake. It would warm me and do my old heart good." So one day, Taro, his father, and mother were sitting in their hut in a corner. All of a sudden, a strong wind started to blow. As it was a common hut, the whistled the wind whistled through the cracks of the hut and everyone felt very cold. Suddenly, Taro's father said that if I would have a cup of sake, it is a kind of drink, a popular drink in Japan. Okay, so if I would have a cup of sake, it could warm me and my old heart too, he said. This made Taro sadder than ever, for the heart-warming drink called sake was very expensive. How do I earn money, more money? He asked himself. How do I get a little sake for my poor old father? He decided to work harder than before. So here, by hearing his father, he felt very bad because the drink called sake was very expensive. He started to think, how can I earn more money that I can be able to bring a drink called sake for my poor father. At the same time, he decided to work more hard that he can be able to earn more money and to bring the drink. Next morning, Taro jumped out of bed earlier than usual and made his way to the forest. He chopped and cut as the sun climbed, and soon he was so warm that he had to take off his jacket. His mouth was dry and his face was wet with sweat. My poor old father, he thought, if only he was as warm as I. And with that, he began to chop even faster, thinking of the extra money he must earn to buy the sake to warm the old man's bones. So the next day morning, Taro woke up earlier than regular and he went to the forest. Soon after going to the forest, he started to cut down the trees. He cut down and cut down that the sun it climbed, and soon he started to feel warm due to the heat of the sun, and he took off his jacket. As he was in work continuously, he felt thirsty. His face got wet with the sweat. And he said himself that my father, my old poor father, as warm I am feeling because of work, my father too should feel warm because of drinking sake. And by thinking this, again he started to work even harder and faster that he can earn extra money to buy sake. Then suddenly Taro stopped chopping. What was that sound? He heard. Could it be? Could it possible be rushing water? Taro could not remember ever seeing or hearing a rushing stream in that part of the forest. He was thirsty. The eggs dropped out of his hands and he ran in the direction of the sound. So again he continued his work. Then suddenly Taro stopped cutting down the wood. What sound is it? What kind of sound is it? Is it possible? He said himself, is it possible to get rushing water here in the forest? Because Taro not remembered that neither remember of seeing or hearing a rushing stream in that part of the forest where he used to cut wood. However, he was thirsty, so he kept his axe there itself and he ran in the direction of the sound. Taro saw a beautiful little waterfall hidden behind a rock. Kneeling at a place where the water flowed quietly, he cupped a little in his hands and put it to his lips. Was it water or was it sake? He tasted it again, and always it was the delicious sake instead of cold water. So Taro saw a beautiful little waterfall which was hiding behind a rock. So he bent his knees and with the help of his hands he took a little water and he put it to his lips. He started to drink. Soon after taking a single sip, he asked himself, is it water or is it a sake? Again and again, he tasted it. But every time he tasted, he found it instead of cold water, it is a sake. Taro quickly filled the pitcher he had with him and hurried home. The old man was delighted with the sake. After only one swallow of the liquid, he stopped shivering and did a little dance in the middle of the floor. So many of the times Taro tasted that water, but instead of water it was a sake. So quickly he filled the pitcher, a pot usually made with mud, you can see it in the picture. He filled it in his pitcher and he went home so fast. Soon after going home, he gave that sake to his father, and his father he drank, and soon after drinking, he stopped shivering in the sense vibrating slightly because of cold, as we too do some of the times if the weather is cold. And as he drank it, he felt so happy that even he did a little dance in middle of the floor. Children, as the lesson is lengthy, I have divided this lesson into two parts. The second part you will get soon.